Hello, I'm Carol Ludwig, and my husband and I have been full-time residents very happily in Ocean Pines for 22 years now. And one of the things that drew us to the Pines was the community atmosphere. And I serve on an advisory committee right now, the Elections Committee. And it's just one of the many opportunities to volunteer in our community, either on an advisory committee or the events that Ocean Pines has through recreation and parks. There's always an opportunity to add yourself to the mix of volunteers that help keep our community a great place to live. The great thing about this community are all the events that happen, that you have an opportunity to volunteer and meet your neighbors and meet this very diverse population of Ocean Pines. Our website, oceanpines.org, is a great source of information. It's everything you want to know about living in Ocean Pines, everything that's going to happen, when meetings are held, where they're held. Our staff does a wonderful job of keeping us informed through our website. Now, moving on to the Elections Committee. Of course, it is an advisory committee set up by the board of directors, just one of the advisory committees. There are many. And we have 5 members. We are appointed by the board of directors. Actually, we are approved by the board of directors to serve terms. We make sure that the elections, referendums, and a quorum at our annual meetings are met. We have a balloting system in place right now where we ensure that everyone gets a ballot. We do have some issues with, especially where properties have changed hands in maybe the last 6 months to a year. Ocean Pines does not always get that information in a timely manner. So we have a duplicate ballot system. If someone does not receive their ballot, we can actually issue them a duplicate ballot, which you can either pick up at the administration office or we mail it out, which is a challenge there too. Our bylaws are pretty defined as to how the elections committee works and the dates that we put things out, the dates that we have deadlines. There is the deadline has to be 35 days to give people a chance to catch up on their assessments, because to be an eligible voter, you must have your assessments paid and any other things you may owe Ocean Pines that needs to be paid before 35 days before the deadline of voting. Otherwise, the votes are considered ineligible. The other part that we ensure that everyone gets the information that they need is we have an elections voicemail. We call it the hotline, but we promise to get back in 24 hours, so that's not quite a hotline. But you can leave your information. We ask people to leave their lots, their names, their addresses. And that way we can ensure that every vote that people want to get in makes it to proper counting system. At a certain date, we sit down and we count the ballots. We do ask the neighbors to come in sometimes and help us count the ballots, because we mail out 8,500 ballots, so approximately. And usually we get 45, 50% return. So that's a lot of ballot counting. And we want to be sure that everyone is handled to the satisfaction of the property owners. One of the ultimate volunteer opportunities there is in our community is to become a candidate for our board of directors. There is, of course, eligibility requirements, and all of those can be found in our governing documents, again, at oceanpines.org. Everything is there. It gives you all of the information. Once there is a deadline that is set by our bylaws for candidates to apply. Once the candidates are identified as eligible, they are given to the elections committee, and then we take over the sort of training or making sure that the candidates have all the information that they need to progress through the process. We have a workshop for them where we identify the Architectural Review Committee rules about signs for political signs. And we also take them through MO6 resolutions and C08. You can find those online about how to handle themselves and what is expected. They all have to give in a 200-word bio of themselves, and also any information that the readers and the voters can use to become more familiar with the candidate is a great opportunity for them. All of that is put into a package that is sent to our voters with the ballot, but also it appears in our summer issue of the Ocean Pines newsletter. All of the information is put together in a nice package, and also the bios are printed in our summer issue of the newsletter put out by the association. All of that is put in, like I said, mailed to every property owner. And of course, every property owner and those who don't even live here have the opportunity to go online at oceanpines.org and find out any information that they want. The next process is that we hold forums. Those are also put on YouTube, and you can come in person to meet the candidates, but they're also put online so that you can look at those and get even more familiar with the candidates and how they're handling questions that are prepared by the Elections Committee. We also ask our residents to submit questions that are hot buttons for them to see how our candidates will react to those and how much knowledge they have of those issues. So we encourage you that if you want to become a candidate, to please look at all the information of eligibility, of what Ocean Pines does, look at our bylaws, our resolutions. It's a wonderful source of information so you could be knowledgeable and comfortable meeting the property owners and their interests. So once we have received the information from the association secretary as to who met the requirements and is eligible to be a candidate for our board of directors, we are given that information, we are given those names, and we immediately start contact. One of the first things that we do is we have a draw for the order on the ballot that will come out. That is done by a very simple procedure where as many candidates as there are, we have those many pieces of paper. Whoever draws one is the first name on the ballot. 2, 3, 4, 5, however many there are. This makes it very fair. Also, that is the seating arrangement at the forums that soon follow. We try to have 2 forums, but a lot of times availability of the candidates doesn't allow that. But there's nothing like meeting in person and being at these forums to, 1, support the candidates, and 2, to find out all the information that you need. So as we said, all of that is put into the ballot when you get that. And actually, the mailing that contains the ballot is actually an announcement of our annual meeting, which takes place every year, the second Saturday in August. That is set forth in our bylaws. So we actually write on the back of the announcement of the annual meeting and put all of this information in there, and any referendum that may come up between now and then. We would include that information in the mailing that you get. There's also, right now, there's a reply envelope where we pay the postage for that for you to send your ballot back in. Also, for the convenience of the members who live here or who are part-time and don't want to count on the Postal Service to get your vote back in, we have a ballot box in the front lobby of the police station, right there by the administration building. You can drop your ballot in there too. That way you're ensured to get it by the right date. Also, if you pick up a duplicate ballot, we strongly suggest that that duplicate ballot goes into the box at the police station so that the mailing back and forth doesn't put your vote in jeopardy. So as a property owner in Ocean Pines, every year on an annual basis, you can expect to receive a special mailing for every property owner. And in that mailing is the information about the annual meeting coming up, the candidates that are running for the board of directors, and of course, the most important piece in there from our perspective is the ballot itself. We ask people to turn that ballot around as quickly as possible. trying to get it back in before the deadline, which of course is set for 35 days after the eligibility list is provided to the elections committee and our printer who sends them out. There is a reply envelope, and it's a very important envelope because anything mailed back to us, it's not in that envelope. It is not considered a valid ballot. Also, other things, again, that make a ballot invalid is anything written on it. We ask you to mark it clearly. The days of check marks are kind of gone. You need to fill in the box. It needs to be in a dark color that the scanner can pick up, or even those that we question, we set them aside. And if we can tell the true intent of the voter, we will make that ballot countable. So no write-ins, no writing on the ballot, no opinions of anything that Ocean Pines does. There's no writing on that ballot. Just fill in the candidate that you're interested in. Same thing with the referendum. It's either yes or no. You agree or you don't agree. That's what we look for because your vote counts and we want it to count. And don't exclude yourself by writing something on the ballot that is considered inappropriate or non-submissible. As property owners, it is a great responsibility for our property owners to ensure that we have the right information in the assessment database so that during that process when we mail them out, if you don't get one within a week of the announced mailing, then you call the elections voicemail and let us know. And we will double check the address and things. You may have to go to Ocean Pines administration with your deed in order to prove property if that information has not been updated in the county database. Also, it's very important for you to do the ballot in the instructions that are included. The ballot itself is just the ballot. The instructions are placed on a separate piece of paper so that everybody knows exactly what they should do with it in order to have your vote count. Also, very important to turn it around as quickly as possible because we get 200, 300 late ballots, and those don't count because they came in after the deadline. It's a very strict deadline. It's 4 p.m. on the Wednesday before the annual meeting. It's set forth in our bylaws that we cannot include any ballots received after that. So if you're running late, drop it off in person or make sure that you get it back in the proper envelope, the reply envelope that is provided for you. We want to make sure that every ballot counts and that your vote makes it to the right place. So that's why we have the duplicate ballot process. If the dog ate your ballot, if you dropped it into the laundry, which has happened a few times, if you lost your reply envelope, any of those reasons, you come and let the elections committee know that, and we will give you a duplicate ballot to make sure that your vote counts. So for any reason, if you didn't receive one because we didn't have your updated information, or as I said, the dog ate it, it went through the laundry, any reasons whatsoever, we will give you a duplicate ballot. I shouldn't say any reason whatsoever. We don't allow for duplicate ballots if you mailed it in and then you changed your mind, because we do have a process where we go through the ballots by section so that we can see if a duplicate ballot comes in for the same section and lot number, both of those are considered invalid. So if you send in a vote, you have to live with it. Well, once all of our ballots are collected by our contractor, he collects them at the post office in Ocean City, as well as the police station box that we have. Those ballots are brought to us on the day of counting, which is usually the day after the deadline or the Friday after the deadline. And we get all the ballots lined up. We look at them. We put them in piles to put into the scanner, set aside those that we're not sure the scanner will pick up correctly. That's very important to us also. And once all of those are collected and we have put the count through the process and it gives us the results. We then post those results via video at first, and also the next Saturday at the annual meeting, we actually give those in person, certify them to the board of directors who accepts that count so that it is a public event. The scanning process is quite intense. It takes a few hours, but everyone is more than welcome to come and view that process. You can't interact. You can't count the ballots yourself. You can't know how many we have or how it's going. We don't know how the vote is going until the scanner identifies what it has read off of the ballots. And also, we have removed the ones that we can't read or that have something inappropriate on the ballot. So we count those so that everybody knows that those were the ones that were rejected. And we have usually 30 to 50 rejections because of things that are added to the ballot that weren't part of the intention of voting. As far as the elections committee goes, we have referendums. We also oversee and administer referendums, which you again get the same type of a mailing with a full explanation of the questions that you're being asked. And the answers are always yes or no. That's all. No write-ins, no suggestions of changing. You either agree with it, yes or no. And it's the same process as the elections. We scan the ballots into the system and then come up with a count. The only difference being is that we do not certify that count at the end. We just put the count out there to the board of directors at their next meeting. And so I've given you the information about the responsibilities of the elections committee, which of course is the election process, referendums, and we also establish whether we have a quorum at our annual meeting. All of this information is readily available for anyone who needs it at oceanpines.org. There are drop-down menus. There's actually a weekly email called This Week in the Pines. If you submit your email address, you will get that on a weekly basis, usually every Monday. If you don't want to give your email, you can go online and look at the news drop-down menu. This Week in the Pines is there, and any recent news that happens when they're collecting leaves. If there's a problem with our waste collection, that is immediately posted. If there's water information where they're draining the pipes, the water pipes, all of that information is so readily available at oceanpines.org. And also, all of the board meetings and a lot of the committee meetings are available on YouTube. So it's one way to get all the information that you need about anything involving Ocean Pines. Thank you.